Welcome. Here is our hip flexor strengthening video. So we are going to start with pure knee drives up, and we're going in full range of motion, so foot all the way to the ground, knee as high as it can go. And there's a couple things I'm going to highlight here. So number one, I am purely flexing at the hip. There is no articular change in the spine here. So I'm not trying to let my spine arch more or really round more. So what I'm not going to do is feel myself twerk back and feel that arching of the back as I lift that hip. You're only going to get tight in the hips, and it's not quite going to feel as hard. So our body wants to go towards this, but this is what we need to avoid. So if you need to be up against the wall and do it, that's an acceptable way as well. But here I am without a wall, just driving that hip up, controlling the articulation of my spine, even exhaling as I bring that knee up to control my core. So next, we're taking the camera all the way over to the pull-up bars, and we're going to be doing some leg lifts here. So deal with me for a second as I position this camera. But we are going to be doing some leg lifts on the bar, and a lot of the same concepts apply here as they did on the knee drives from the ground. So I'm going to be bringing my feet entirely to the bar, so it requires some lat engagement, so it's almost like I'm doing a lat pullover as well. But what I'm trying to do is avoid that arching of the back. Yes, the spine will round in this instance. If I'm trying to get my feet all the way to the bar, I need some lumbar rounding. So expect the low back to round. We're just trying to prevent any sort of arching. Now, if this is too difficult to get those feet all the way to the bar, it is totally acceptable to just bring the knees to the chest while rounding the spine. So again, we're trying to avoid that arching of the back. So here, I'm going to demonstrate some of that bit of arching. I guess here's the medium version, the rounding, driving those knees to the chest, or almost thinking about knees to armpits. So I'm still rounding the low back, but here's where we're trying to avoid this arching, this twerking sensation. So I'm driving those knees up. You can see my back is extended. I'm actually tightening my psoas in a way where I am going to feel like I have pretty tight hips by the time I'm done with this. So really feel that arching, or rounding, sorry, not the arching of the low back. So what we have next here is classic old sissy squat. So this is a review for you guys. So I am just staying straight through the hips, bending at the knees. My heels do get lifted off the ground, and I can use a bar for assistance. And notice I'm not really pulling on that bar. I'm mainly just using it for balance. So it's not changing my path of descent if I didn't have a grip on a bar. So I don't want you to be swinging underneath the bar or anything like that. Now here, I'm showing that I'm losing that extension in those hips. So I'm not keeping the glutes squeezed. I'm not controlling the motion through my hips. And sometimes as you push up, you might see that wave. Not what we're quite looking for here. All right, next we have a sartorius strengthener. So what is sartorius? It goes from the outer hip to the inside of my knee. It kind of like crosses my leg, like I'm playing hacky sack or reading a newspaper. So I'm basically gonna play very powerful invisible hacky sack here, and you can see I have an ankle weight attached to my ankle. Any of these hip flexion motions can take a weight at the ankle if you're looking for extra resistance, but again, we're really looking for that spinal integrity, the back staying nice and flat against the wall, not feeling the swell of the back lift off the wall, and we're just going into that external rotation as we flex the hip. All right, now here we have L-sit. So we're working the proximal hip flexors with our core quite a bit. We're also getting quite a bit of upper body and pec activation. So I'm trying to hold my body above the ground, completely flexing the hip very hard. So my way of getting a little bit more out of this, being able to hold it longer, is I'm just gonna keep my butt on the ground. I'm going to lift those hips, straight legs, and I'm going to push into the ground as much as I can, but I'm working that straight leg hip flexor, getting a lot of rectus femoris activation here. So similar kind of muscle group as the sissy squats, but totally different position, totally different kind of tension, and yeah, adductors are going to squeeze a little bit to stay balanced. And last but not least, we have pistol squats, quite advanced, so if you're having trouble with balance on these, I would say stick to the sissy squats for a little bit, or maybe use a balance, but I would say, reserve these for, the beginning of a session when you have all the intensity you need. So all I'm doing is folding the hips, keeping that balance, and really working that lengthened leg hip flexor. So as much as you feel like, yeah, I'm working with that leg that's planted on the ground, the leg that's lifted is getting the hip flexor action. Thanks for watching.